I bet you know at least one person who can manage their feelings really well in almost any situation, is great at dealing with conflicts, has the emotional maturity to not take things personally, and is usually the go-to person whenever anybody in your group needs advice. Now the question is, how do you become this person? Lucky for you, mastering your emotions is actually a skill that can be learned. And that is why in today's video, I am sharing 7 secrets of emotionally strong and intelligent people that you can adapt to your life and eventually become a master yourself. As usual, the timestamps are going to be in the description. And before we begin, I want to remind you guys to subscribe and like this video so that it can reach more people. Number 1, choose values over feelings. Remember how in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjun did not want to go to war against his cousins and his uncles because he felt that it would be wrong to kill his own family members. But then Lord Krishna reminds him of his duty as a warrior and as a protector of good forces over evil. This anecdote is, I think, one of the best examples of someone choosing their values over their feelings. Imagine what would have happened if Arjun gave in to his feelings and did not fight the war. And while you and I probably don't have to deal with problems as complex as Arjun did, it is good to remember that our values are like anchor points in our lives. Whenever we are going through difficult feelings or difficult emotions, it's very easy to get lost in them. During these times, it is important to anchor ourselves to our values because we need to remind ourselves that our emotions can lead us astray just as easily as they can guide us. For example, if you are having an argument with your husband or your wife and you let your emotions take over, that argument can get out of hand very, very quickly. You might end up saying hurtful things to each other or maybe not talking to each other, and the wedge that it drives between you can tear you further apart. On the other hand, if you choose to approach the situation through mutually shared values, like fighting the situation instead of fighting each other, you will be able to think a lot more rationally and make much better decisions. And when you keep doing this over time, it will make you better at dealing with conflict. Number 2, deal with it now instead of putting it off for later. One of my favorite quotes from Naval Ravikant is, of 2 equally difficult paths, choose the one that is more painful in the short term, because that is most likely to give you the most amount of gain in the long term. It is human nature to want to avoid pain, including emotional pain. And because it's such a strong desire, our mind often ends up building defense mechanisms to shield us from this pain. And the biggest defense mechanism of all is denial. For instance, if someone just lost their job, instead of dealing with the rejection, they continue telling themselves everything is fine. Or if someone found their partner cheating, for instance, but instead of confronting them, they kept telling themselves everything is fine, everything is fine. These are classic textbook examples of denial. And why we tend to do things like this is because in certain situations like the ones that I described, the potential pain of knowing the truth is so great that it's often easier to just deny the possibility of it even existing. But while denial may make you feel better in the short term, it actually makes you emotionally weaker because you are not taking any steps to prepare yourself for the pain that will come when the truth unleashes itself. This is why it is so important to train yourself to talk about emotional issues, to confront emotional issues right in the beginning, in the short term, even though it's a lot more painful, because in the long term, it will make you emotionally resilient, it will make you mentally stronger, and make you a lot better at dealing with painful emotions. Number 3, control your actions, not your emotions. You cannot control your emotions any more than you can control the weather. You don't have a dial that can turn your happiness up or turn your sadness down or put brakes on your anxiety or push a button for motivation. People who are emotionally strong or emotionally intelligent inherently know this. They also know that managing or controlling your emotions is actually a misnomer. This means that the more you try and tackle your emotions as a problem, the more your brain becomes afraid of the emotion itself. You must have seen people getting anxious about getting sad or getting angry when they feel anxious and then feeling guilty because they felt angry. In trying to avoid painful emotions, you actually train your brain to continue living in this hyper vigilant mode, always aware, always on the lookout for the next painful emotion. Now, while you can't directly manage this, it's not possible to turn that switch on or off directly. You can manage it by managing your actions. It's basically doing the work outside to change your inner reality. You must have heard the quote that says, "What you think, you will become." And that applies so greatly to your emotions. If you think that you're a loser, you will feel like a loser, and that will make you sad or anxious or depressed. On the other hand, if you remind yourself that one mistake does not make you a failure, it will probably make you feel more encouraged. Or if you decide to go to the gym despite not feeling motivated to do it, you might realize that once you reach the gym, you do have the motivation to work out. The key to managing your emotions, therefore, is to manage your outward actions and your conscious thought process. So in order to stop thinking of yourself as a loser, you actually need to think more about instances where you were a winner and put in the work that makes you more successful going forward. To stop feeling discouraged, you need to remind yourself of all the wins that you've had and to look at mistakes as a learning experience rather than a stamp for failure. And similarly, if you want to stay on track with your fitness, taking that action of going to the gym despite being unmotivated is what ends up motivating you. Action is the antidote to fear. Action is the antidote to emotional distress. Action is actually the antidote to a lot of things. For example, I was feeling very unmotivated, sad today because the weather is really gloomy and I was just not in my element. But then to snap myself out of it, I decided to get dressed and record this video. Number 4, learn to tolerate other people's painful emotions. How capable are you of sitting with a person going through painful emotions without offering them a solution? Can you deal with the emotional discomfort? Dealing with our own painful emotions is one thing, but to tolerate and to deal with other people's painful emotions requires another level of emotional maturity and intelligence. For example, your friend comes to you after office and he's super upset, super angry with his boss, and he starts ranting. And as soon as he starts telling you about his problem and his distress, you either start rationalizing the situation or start giving him solutions, or worse yet, you try to snap him out of it. Most of the behavior that we elicit in response to somebody else having a painful emotion is actually just a means of reducing our own discomfort. It is not about the other person. But at the same time, it is also perfectly natural because at any given point in time, our brain is just trying to optimize our survival. And avoiding pain is a part of that. But you will find that people who are emotionally intelligent or strong often just empathize, listen well, and are there for the person instead of doing anything else that manages their own discomfort. And we need to start practicing more of doing that as well. Remind yourself that emotions are not problems to be fixed. They are experiences to be validated. So the next time you have a friend or a partner come to you with their painful emotions, instead of rationalizing or trying to fix the problem or trying to make them feel better, just try to empathize with them, listen well, be there, and support them in their sadness. Number 5, acknowledge your own helplessness. Nobody likes to admit it, but we are all helpless at some point in life. I am helpless in creating a YouTube video that will resonate with everyone who watches it. Because as much I might try, not everything is in my control. You are helpless in ensuring that you do get that position that you applied for, because as much as you like, not everything is in your control. There are a lot of things in our life that we do have control over, and then there are things that we don't have any control over. And the more we try to spend our energy trying to control things that we can't control, the less energy we have left for the things that we can actually control. For example, if I spend hours worrying about the new topic of my video and whether people are going to like it, eventually I will probably not end up making that video altogether. And that sets my channel back a lot. But on the other hand, if I take the decision of going ahead and making that video, that is something that is in my control. Maybe not everybody will like it, but it will still go out and there will be a chunk of people who do. Emotionally strong people take helplessness in their stride. After all, you can't do a lot of good work without acknowledging the fact that you are helpless in certain situations and that you can't control others. Number 6, cultivate a sense of purpose. It is a lot more difficult to get lost if you have a map and a compass than if you were to just go into the forest without being prepared. Let me explain this with an example. This is Ria. She is constantly worried. Anytime that she has time to herself, her mind goes to the worst case scenarios. She knows that she should not worry this much, but her anxieties and her stressors build a cage around her mind and she feels like she can't escape. How can Ria get out of her mental cage? The answer actually lies in having strong positive forces in your life that outcompete the negative forces in your life. Let's take another example of Sia. She's in the same college as Ria, but after their college gets over, Sia actually goes ahead and invests time in pottery classes. She's also working towards creating her own YouTube channel, and she also just signed up to become the editor for the college newsletter. Now, in Sia's case, she has so many positive things working for her that it's very difficult for her to get trapped in a negative cycle of overthinking and anxiety. In her case, it's a lot easier for her to get out of an overthinking rut or to not get stuck in a negative thinking cycle because she has hobbies, goals, and exciting opportunities to look forward to. All of these things actually help give Sia a sense of purpose. And when you have multiple things in your life that give you that sense of purpose, that give you that meaning and enjoyment, it actually starts slowly chipping away at those negative entities and starts receding them, making you a lot more emotionally resilient, making you feel fulfilled and content. And when you're feeling all of those things, it's very difficult for you to stay in this zone in which Ria is. Now, it's important to remember that for emotionally intelligent people, it's not just luck that they have a strong sense of purpose. It is something that they cultivate over time, and it is a skill, just like mastering your emotions is, that you can build over time as well. You can do this by seeking out new challenges, because challenges force you to go out of your comfort zone, and that is where growth happens. You can do this by sticking to a new hobby or a new activity that you signed up for and doing it consistently over a period of time till you get good at it. And you can also do this by becoming more curious about everything around you, by interacting with more people, by interacting more with the surroundings around you. And number 7, adapting to change willingly. For most people in life, change is a signal of danger. Whenever things are changing, we feel unsettled. We feel like all of the good things in our life are also going to change. And as a result, we spend so much time and effort trying to keep things the same. But emotionally intelligent people don't see change as a threat. They see change as an opportunity for growth. Now, here's the thing. Change is inevitable, whether you like it or not. People you love are going to die or going to leave. You are going to change jobs, maybe get fired, maybe get hired. The friends you had as a kid are not going to stay the same throughout your life. You are going to lose friends, make new friends. Your plans are going to get disrupted or ruined, even made in some cases. Everything in life is change. And if you don't train yourself to get good at dealing with change, your life is going to be a bumpier ride than usual. You will find that people who resist change a lot are overtly anxious, they are constantly overwhelmed, they are constantly distressed, and a lot of the times isolated because they refuse to move with the flow. Emotionally resilient people, on the other hand, try and embrace change as an opportunity for growth. Now, this does not mean that you have to have the false sense of belief that everything is always hunky-dory. No. But it means that you always stay hopeful that whatever change is happening is going to lead to something better. Even if it does not lead to a good outcome directly, it can lead to an outcome that helps you learn something and make yourself better. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, becoming emotionally strong is a skill that you can develop with practice. And to practice doing these 7 points that I just talked about in today's video, I want you guys to write these down on post-it notes and paste them on a wall that you can see every single day. Now, whenever you are going through a period of emotional distress or whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, I want you to look at these post-its and just remind yourself of every single point. The first step to change starts with awareness, and having those up in front of you all the time is your first step to awareness. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, let me know in the comments. Let me know what I should talk about next. And check out these 2 videos next. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.